The Everything Sequel podcast is brought to you by 2T Fitness and the Vegas Beer Guys.
Everything Sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. This is a Candyman edition. Today we're talking Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, the man who wants to throw me into the parade, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hello, Tom.
You're an actor?
Is that for me or is that a quotable?
Well, I mean, theoretically both. It's not a thought you want to put into an audience's mind during a direct-to-video feature,
Right.
is it? And I also appreciate the unintended metatextuality of a bit part Latino actor playing a bit part Latino actor.
Yes, right. Plus, that's Jesus Garcia of Nightmare on Elm Street fame.
I thought I recognized him. Which of the original Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, he's the one accused of the murder
Oof.
of the blonde woman.
Well, he's aged very well.
Yeah, he has. He looks great.
This is 99, and wow. Okay, well, that's completely thrown me.
Yeah.
I thought he was just starting out.
No. Yeah,
everyone in this movie feels like they're just starting out.
Yeah, that's true.
Because no one is around to kind of talk them out of bad choices.
Yeah, so there's sort of an almost uncanny valley quality to this movie because
completely.
none of the human beings are acting like human beings. So
no,
they all kind of vaguely feel like aliens wearing skin suits doing weird things.
But I wonder how many of them know better, right? Because I'm starting to think that I may have misjudged one or two of the supporting cast. I mean, at least one of the cops I recognize as a working character actor. But he's absolutely hopeless in this.
Yeah, I know. I literally just a few minutes ago before we started. No,
don't tell me you watched it again.
No. But I saw his picture on IMDb.
Yeah.
And he looked so kind of collegial and jolly and very friendly.
Yeah.
And like a normal person. And I thought, God, he really is just trying to act his pants off in this movie, but it doesn't come across in any type of real way.
So we're talking about the bald cop who this movie is about.
Yeah,
right?
the virulent racist.
This movie is secretly about.
Yeah, exactly.
And 2/3 of the way through, it's revealed. It's not actually a C plot. It's the point of the movie.
Yeah,
and the centerpiece of the finale. Okay.
Well, here we are. We're talking Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. And it's a 1999 film directed by Turi Meyer. I don't know if you know him, but he's directed nothing else. He's directed nothing else but this. But he's done a lot of television, a lot of CW, like Buffy, Angel, Smallville. So plenty of episodes in those worlds.
And another piece of the puzzle falls neatly into place.
Just falls into place. As does the Rotten Tomatoes score, because it's 7% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that feels justified.
I think some of that is horror prejudice, but I can't really argue. I can't really argue against it for this particular title.
Yeah. Well, in terms of money, Did you know at first that this was a direct-to-video movie?
Oh, well, we talked about this in the ranking episode. You revealed to me that it was direct to video. However,
That's right.
I've written the word direct to video. Like the graffiti on the walls in Candyman.
Yes, right.
It's my sweets to the sweet. It's fucking everywhere. All on my notes. So, and I think I purposefully decided I wasn't gonna check until we started talking about it.
Yeah, right.
So I could at least have the possibility of be surprised, but no, it confirmed my worst expectations that this was in fact a straight up piece of direct-to-video garbage.
Yeah, and I guess for some reason in my canon head,
yeah,
I had this as a theatrical release. Like, I remembered that there was a Candyman 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was surprised when I got onto IMDb for my money corner purposes, and it had a budget but no box office.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I hate it when that happens for early movies. So I started looking on Wikipedia and started Box Office Mojo, trying to find any information. And then finally it said direct to video somewhere. And I thought, oh, fuck. I had no idea. But
you're in the library with the microfilm, kind of tracing the origins of Candyman, open parentheses 3, close parentheses, Day of the Dead.
Yeah, I'm like a college kid looking at the actual newspapers from the time of Jack the Ripper, trying to find shit out. But I was the one thing I did find was there was a budget of $3 million, and I feel like maybe I mentioned this.
You did, yeah. You said
that's disputed by the cast. They gave us $1 million, and that's it.
Someone walked away with $2 million in their pocket.
Yeah.
and it wasn't anyone involved with the movie. I'm looking at you, Artisan Entertainment.
I was gonna say, first note, Artisan. So MGM's gone.
Having disappeared off the map ever since they got that. I think they took that $2 million and they invested it in I don't know, stocks and shares or something that actually made money.
Something from Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Yeah.
Or Mannequin 2. What was the...
no.
Where did we have some famous pilfering of money?
I think potentially both. I think that was the same guy. I think maybe not Weekend at Bernie's 2, but Weekend at Bernie's and Mannequin 2 were produced by, I want to say, Gladden Entertainment?
Gladden, yeah.
And they were
shifty. They were shifty.
Well, no, I mean, I straight up embezzlement. So, the same I think is going on here. Yeah, when Artisan Entertainment came up, I was surprised first of all that their trademark was so prominent, because I'm not sure anyone's trying to steal their IP.
No, yeah, right.
I don't think they need to be worried about the trademarking their work, to be perfectly honest.
Don't you worry about it. Nobody's coming after Day of the Dead.
And I think this was where this was probably my first direct-to-video suspicion when I saw the logo. Mm-hmm. You know, when you see a production company you've never heard of before or since.
Right.
That always, you know, that the hairs on your back of your neck stand up a little bit, and you realize you're in trouble.
There's a production company in this room with me.
Yeah, and that and the title I wrote titles font. Mm-hmm. So this is what I literally wrote. Titles font along with no name director suggests video era of series starting. Also, the fact that they put Tony Todd right at the top of the billing, because he was. I mean, it was alphabetical order last time, but he was right at the bottom.
Yeah.
So the fact that they put his name first means he's the only name aside from Ernie Hudson Jr.
Right.
Aside from Ernie Hudson Jr. aside from Little Winston. Baby Winston. So there you go. And then I wrote the most direct-to-video looking actress I have ever seen. appears on screen.
Yeah, because we open up right on her eye.
Mm-hmm.
And my note was, it's not exactly Psycho, except pulling out instead of pushing in.
And, you know, I don't think this was filmed I mean, it's too early for it to be filmed in digital, but
yeah, right.
It sure looks like
it's
more, there's a lack of cinematic texture there that you would associate with the theatrical release.
Yes, that was the thing that I noticed, because I already mentioned the uncanny valley of it all, but this movie opens up with essentially a dream sequence in an all-white bathroom.
Yes.
Which is supposed to have that feeling anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of it, it has an uncanny valley feeling in the way that it's filmed. So it looks like a dream sequence that can't even be filmed like a dream sequence. Like there's just something missing in it.
Without the lack of production values that can do fantasy, right?
yeah, exactly. Like, there's something missing in it where I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with this, but there's something wrong with this.
Another thing that might be wrong with it is, we've talked about this before, when it normally happens much later in a series than the third movie, but nonetheless, I think we've seen this where horror series go on, when they've gone on for a while, they start losing integrity and start feeling like any possible horror franchise you can think of. So I got Poltergeist vibes from this opening scene, and it's too early for that lack of distinction between the horror film you're making and every other horror film on the market. But we've passed that threshold here, because this there's nothing to suggest this is a Candyman movie at this point, and it feels more like a Poltergeist.
Yeah,
with the open doors and the white bright light.
The white bright light, the all white room.
Maybe they didn't know they weren't making a Poltergeist at this point. Maybe it was decided later that this would be a Candyman.
Because isn't there sort of I don't know if there's a lightning flash, but isn't there a sort of flash and Tony Todd appears in the background?
Yeah.
And it just feels as though the movie was saying, we're legitimate because we have this guy.
Well, well, again, with the top billing as well. And as I said in the previous episode, a very modern looking haircut.
Mm-hmm.
But also, again, the one of the problems that I think in the last film I mentioned that one of the things I really like about Tony Todd is you don't have to do any window dressing, any kind of embellishment. Right. Just the face and the voice is enough.
It's enough.
He's just wearing like black clothing, and that's it. You don't need anything else. But because there's no mise-en-scène around him, he's so exposed.
Yeah.
Now you're like, oh shit! Like it's like actually, you don't need anything apart from him, but you do need a film around him as well. And there isn't a film
you
around
need some atmosphere.
It's just Tony Todd standing in a room.
Like clicking the bathroom light on with his hook. Hello, anybody here?
Yeah, they caught the exact moment he first walked on set.
Right.
Like, perfect! Print it!
Done. He's like, I had a kind of quizzical look on my face. I don't think I look too mean. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I didn't know that I was on... I didn't know I was on screen. That's fine. No, you got a natural quality.
Yeah. You looked great.
Yeah.
So I got a note here though, because it's it both looks a little bit tired and inept, because we have a slash and then we go into title sequence. Right.
So there's a cold open. Well, lukewarm open, because there's a
lukewarm open.
Yeah, we've got some titles.
But my note is that one of the things I read was that the producers gave them absolutely no money for title sequence. They wanted the titles over the white bathroom scene.
Right.
So, to their credit, despite how cheap it looks, the director and the cinematographer went into a garage with the hook.
Oh, no. Yeah.
completely in black with like a little ray of light coming through a window, and they just by themselves shot that spinning hook. That is what we get for the title sequence, and it looks exactly like how I'm describing it.
Right. It's certainly it's garage quality for sure.
It's garage quality and guerrilla quality, but I also kind of tip my hat to them that they at least had, you know, the presence of mind to say, no, we're not going to do that. We'll do this as cheap as we possibly can, and as cheap as it may look. But we want to give more to this movie. So there's this part of me that says, all right, kudos to you.
Yeah, all of that circumstantial context makes me want to be less mean to it than I was going to be.
Yeah, right.
And you know, it's they've gone for late 90s world dance music as an audio choice.
Yeah.
There's also, I think they were trying to do a pastiche of the Batman 1989 logo, but with bloody hooks. Because we're kind of circling around the hook before we can tell that we're in there.
Yeah.
And my other note was that the hook, the way that they shoot it, makes it look like a blood-stained pelican. So I did wonder whether they just covered a pelican in blood and filmed it.
And filmed it?
That's maybe the reason why it's above garage quality.
Who knew? Who knew that blood-stained pelicans could give so much?
But you know, with what you're saying, that's actually kind of remarkable because it's decent. I mean, it's decent enough. It's crappy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not more or less crappy than what you'd expect from a direct-to-video feature, a
direct-to-video sequel, correct? Yeah.
And you assume that even direct-to-video features have more money to do title sequences than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just got a great big fuck you. Nope, no money for you.
Yeah. What about
right,
that? So by my accounting, there's $2 million left in the budget. Nope, definitely not.
Yeah.
Hey, someone's.
Well, as the movie gets.
Hey, look at those accounts. Someone's white outed the 2. It's just a 0. It's just a bunch of zeros. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's how it always was. Yeah.
Let's break for lunch. Oh, there's no money for lunch. Oh.
Like the Troll 2.
Let's keep going.
Troll 2 situation where you eat the same pizza over 1 week.
That's right. We just bought one large pizza for the whole shoot.
Wow. That's good. Is this on Friday? You're like, was this mushroom pizza? It wasn't on Monday. No, it wasn't. It grew mushrooms as the week went on.
Yeah. Started off just pepperoni. It became pepperoni and mushroom.
Look, that slice is walking away. Yeah, well, where it's revealed, I didn't write down how, but following the title sequence, it's revealed that the lukewarm open was a fake out dream.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I realize, oh, she's not our first victim. She's the lead of the movie.
She's our heroine. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's up front they say that she is the grown-up version of the child we saw at the end of the last movie.
Correct. Which means, despite the fact that this movie absolutely looks firmly placed in 1995, that it should be like 2020? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, whichever way you slice it, the calendar math doesn't work. I mean, you can sort of reset the timeline, assuming that that the first movie happens a little bit early, like a couple of years earlier than the release date. But that doesn't get you all the way to 25 or however old she's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is post-apocalyptic LA. This is like Blade. This is basically Blade Runner LA that they're in, right?
Or Predator 2.
Or Predator.
I'll say that again.
When is Predator 2 set?
Well, I don't know that they ever say, but it's
It's the future.
I think it's supposed to be a
Okay.
futuristic. It's one of those where it's not hundreds of years, but it's whatever, 15 years from wherever it's set, I think.
Could Blade Runner's 2014, is that right? Or am I wrong about that? Because it says very specifically when it is.
I don't remember. Yeah.
But anyway, they paid no attention to the timeline. But they do pay attention to continuity, and it's sort of interesting that they...
Yeah, right.
There's no...
They go down that lane when they don't have to.
That's exactly what I was trying to say, yes.
Yeah.
They could have... This could have been an entirely new story.
And you'd think for a direct-to-video they would do that. Like, trying to pay homage to what came before it character-wise, especially because they're drawing on the sequel, not the original, is at the very least interesting. I kind of commend them for that. I do
too. I mean, it's one of
the timeline problems it causes. I don't care.
It's one of my bugbears that a lot of sequels don't care about this. So I've got to give them props for that. However, I mean, it completely hamstrings their movie because obviously,
right,
she can't be as old as she is and it be 2 or 3 years later. So it's a it creates a problem, but I think they think they're resolving a problem. It's almost as if they're kind of afraid of going against the logic of the ending of the last movie. It's like, well, they clearly left the door open.
Yeah.
For a third movie centered around this child, so we got to give it to them.
So
and I don't know where they're getting this preconception list because literally nobody cares, and most of the people who saw that movie are not gonna see this one.
Right, and that leads me.
It's a very different demographic that's being sought out.
Sure,
very different.
But it's funny because I was thinking about this earlier today, and that idea, especially in horror films. And I noticed that something was bothering me about this sequel. And then I realized that it doesn't bother me in other sequels. Like, maybe I'm being too harsh on this movie.
No.
I guess because they choose...
You're not being harsh enough on this movie.
They choose to do something in this movie, which is connect its character to the past movie we just saw. She is the daughter all grown up. But what they do is... In the future, 3 years later, 25 years older.
Yeah. She's the opposite of the Jack disease.
Exactly. And but my problem is they don't connect, like Candyman just shows up.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And they don't make any kind of attempt to explain how he comes back.
No.
How did he reconstitute himself into the mirror that he is? Is what I want to know. But I started thinking about the Freddys and thinking, well, it never bothers me in Freddy, so maybe I should shut up. But
the sort of even in what you're talking about is kind of almost Dracula-like, and they make a kind of show of resurrecting him at the beginning of every movie, and then occasionally it's just like, oh, there's Dracula. It's so it kind of yeah. I mean, it's the other sense is that the movie doesn't have the imagination to think of a reason why he would come back,
right?
Because it, like we talked about when we talked about Farewell to the Flesh. I was going to say Farewell from the Flesh, but that's a very different movie. That's the porn parody, Farewell from the Fleshlight. It is that, that had some interesting devices for exposition with Purcell's lecture and as a way of recapping the mythology. Here, people just start saying exposition out loud to each other in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah, that's one of my next notes. Like, she just quickly goes over the legend.
She just goes, in the way that you're having a conversation and suddenly you go into a monologue. It's that kind of it's that kind of exposition. So
I can never go into one of my monologues without somebody saying, "Hey, shut the fuck up."
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, and the say, it is the 5 times mirrored heir is back, but it's the sort of mixed race version where it's the black character egging on the white character, which I feel is sort of a step backwards in terms of representation, because it's her, it's her black friend who's like, "Oh, come on, do it," and she's like, No, this is really raw with me," and historically and in reality, it's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So they're sort of like, I don't know if they did that deliberately or it was just an accident. Probably an accident, because most things in this movie are. But obviously, it means that even in the unthinkingness of it, you've taken a step back politically already.
Yeah, right.
In not addressing that this has a racial dimension that either you don't see or you don't care about, or third option, you're racist. It's one of the three.
It's problematic, this movie, in that way, in which, because the series on the whole kind of takes race into account.
Yeah.
But this movie chooses to ignore so much of that.
Well, it takes race into account. It's just a different race.
Yeah, right.
People, which is no, in '99, the making a movie about people of color at all is is certainly a noble effort, but it has the unfortunate byproduct of writing black people out of their own story.
Mm-hmm.
And assuming that, and also that kind of cynicism of African American, Mexican, it's all the same horseshit.
Right. Yeah.
They've all got these traditions. One's the same as the other.
Yeah.
They can
Mardi Gras, Day of the Dead, it's the same thing.
They basically
Mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, they basically share the same folklore.
Right.
So, but even at this stage, I'm like this is very simplistic.
Yeah, right.
And we got the next note I have is digital bee swarms.
I put a bee transition scene.
Bee transition scene. In both senses of the word, in that it is a not very good transition scene, and it also features bees. Yeah. Yes. I mean, these are some of the worst effects I've ever seen. A close second is, I don't know if you watched the network TV show 911. Have you ever seen that? It's
no, I haven't seen a single full episode.
It's like a good. I mean, you've lived your life.
I think I made the right choice.
Honestly, because I barely watch network television.
Sure.
At all anymore. I tuned in for the election, and I was horrified of I mean, it looked like, it's like painting before perspective almost. It was that kind of, I was kind of, there are other ways of doing this, right?
Yeah.
But and I don't know if it was I think it was, I don't know, I was watching something that had ads on it, and they were trailing the premiere for the new series premiere for 911, which involved like a truck of killer bees had been overturned, and now there was like a bee tornado.
Yeah, I did see a commercial for it, and I saw the bee tornado and thought to myself, we could do better than this.
Well, this is it. Yeah, we could. We obviously, network TV
even
is still
for television.
Is still stuck in that kind of digital ghetto, but
it did make me want to go back and watch the Michael Caine movie, The Swarm. I remember thinking, I think they probably did it better in that movie. What was that, 1979?
I think this is relevant to Candyman, that you can't, pre-digital, there's nothing you could do with bees unless you had bees.
Unless you have to have bees, exactly.
You can't have 1,000 tiny pictures of bees all moving. Ray Harryhausen can't design stop motion bees in their millions.
Stop motion clay bees.
How long would that take him? Decades to come with that. So I presume in the Swarm, it's just. I guess the only trick you can do is create little crackles on the screen that look a little bit like bees, which I think they do in the original Candyman. But anyway, I mean, it's just awful. But it's interesting that digital BFX have got no better in that time. If the series premiere of 911 is anything to go by.
Well, you get those bees, and then you get the tagline of all of these movies, I guess, which is "Sweets to the Sweet."
Yeah,
you're constantly hearing that.
Yeah, and we find out that the L.A. Barrio Day of the Dead is a surrogate for New Orleans Mardi Gras in this movie.
Correct.
And I believe the original Candyman is festival-less. So this idea of a festival of the week,
just of the sequels,
is its tribute to Farewell to the Flesh, not the original movie,
right?
But of course, all the kind of problems of racial cross identification, the idea that it's just a formula that you can transplant any ethnicity onto.
Correct.
Is really insulting.
Well, and also what was kind of insulting is this argument between the gallery owner and our lead actor.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name? Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
The character is Carolyn, because
right.
he's saying she's the one that's painted all these Candyman paintings. And he's saying, let's lean into the legend. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And she's standing firm and saying, no, that's not what I want. And that's incorrect for a good solid 30 seconds. And then she's like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
She just gives up her,
I suppose,
this moral stance that she has, and just goes, okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, at least we're still interested in, sketches and artworks. As part of the story. That's another kind of fidelity to the original idea that could have easily gotten lost in literal translation by making this take place during the Day of the Dead in the barrios of LA. Yeah, and then you see, I don't know about you. I don't know who was tasked with creating these artworks, but they're I don't know. Whoever was in charge of reproducing 18th century painting has either never seen one or did them so badly they put way too much water in the paint mix.
Exactly.
Because everything looks like it's covered in, like seen in Don't Look Now when the blood spills over the tile of the slide. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
Also, do you remember from In Farewell to the Flesh, was there ever a Candyman self-portrait?
So this was my problem too, because I was I started to Mandela effect that portrait into that movie.
Right. I don't think there was.
I don't think it's in there.
I also, under what circumstances was this painting done as well? I mean,
This movie is making me feel as though it's connected it to that movie, and I know that she's a painter in that movie as well.
But that painting was,
as well as a school teacher.
That painting was definitely done for this movie, though.
Right.
Because had it been the one used in Farewell to the Flesh, it would have been of a higher quality.
Because the only one I truly, because there's different stuff in Farewell to the Flesh. There's that self-portrait that looks like her. Herself in the time and place of Robitaille.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is also, but it's also,
but then
she looks like her ancestor.
Candyman.
Yeah.
There is a Candyman kind of mural in her old house. That she did not paint.
So but
it's not this painting either.
No. But also, I mean, I suppose that this is an elitist point in some senses, but kind of self-portraits aren't posed as if you're like this. They aren't posed like portraits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially before you had the photographic means to take a photo of yourself and then create the painting from that, which I assume is not how he's supposed to have done it. Like a self-portrait would be, you're
looking in a mirror.
Looking in a mirror, or sitting in a chair or something. It wouldn't be posed like you can step outside yourself and watch yourself for several hours like you would the person you're taking. I don't know. It's just a fundamental again, uncanny valley. It's like not quite human, not quite how humans do things.
Here's the other not quite how humans do things, not even bad humans or bad cops, because I really got a hearty laugh when I realized that these two cops were shaking down the local art gallery dealer.
That's right. That's how desperate they are these days, I guess.
Is that a common occurrence? Are gallery owners constantly being shaken down by the cops?
No.
I thought, how did they get on this guy's tail? Why did they hate this man? Other than, of course, he's from Mexico. What's going on
here?
Right,
but everyone's Mexican because they're in the bar. His gallery's in the barrio.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying that isn't their isn't their racist logic. Looking at these two guys, that I described them as two male white bad fiction cops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you put these two guys in anything that isn't good.
Right.
They're just like the two guys hired out to be cops in direct-to-video features, essentially.
Yeah, and there's something very strange in this movie does capture something very odd in their relationship that's completely unsaid.
Yeah.
Because the bald guy, the stockier bald guy, is always just about to murder and or beat up somebody, and the other guy has to calm him down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as though he's saying he's normally a good guy, he just flies off the handle every once in a while, but he's there to keep him in check, and otherwise he's good at his job.
The thing is, though,
very strange that they're communicating all of that on screen but without any words.
To play devil's advocate, that totally fits the ending of this movie, though.
I know.
It establishes like a through line that is totally paid off by the ending. I mean, why
why
the
focus?
That
guy that babysits him.
Yeah, my question is why the focus on that? But you can't argue that there's definitely a through line here, and it begins with we could easily frame up this guy to be a serial killer if we wanted to. Like, that totally fits his representation to the rest of the film. It's
Absolutely.
I just don't understand why that's the story we're following.
Yep.
But it's it's a well-told story. It's a competently told story.
I'm just not sure why it's our focus for this movie.
No idea whatsoever. What I'm also not sure about is I am sure about it because I lived through it, so I know it's true. Is the Candyman paintings are turning on a bunch of goths, hanging around outside the gallery, and part of me was just like goths in horror films feels a bit like low-hanging fruit, it's just like, this is having the audience on screen, essentially. But then I remember 99 to 2001 was, when I was, it was like when I was finishing high school, and every third person I knew was a goth.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of...
And it seems focused
socially
on the time,
real.
too.
It's socially real. And it fits with the idea of horror movies, and I think more particularly as the movie goes on, it's the most Clive Barker-y thing about this story, which from a franchise which originally started out as an adaptation of a Clive Barker story.
Right.
That's been divested of the quality of all of that, but the Goths kind of bring it back a little bit. It feels a little bit Hellraiser, what they're up to.
Yeah. Also, aren't there goths in RoboCop 3? The part of the neighborhood
Oh,
you just can't go near.
undoubtedly, yeah.
Yeah. So it seems a focus of period of time of film that this takes place in too.
Yeah, but also, it's they're sort of horror characters because it's just like having horror fans on screen essentially. Mm-hmm. Whenever you have goths.
Well, my next notice we get to. Aside from the racist cops, we get to the second thing that this director loves, which is hot-ass naked women just showing us their tits.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, like, it's funny because each subsequent film... so, in the previous film, pieces of the story that have not been told yet are filled... The pieces of backstory are filled in with by flashback. And we're doing that again here, except that our flashbacks tend to focus on when people are naked more and have, the points at which people are naked and having sex, which seems like the opposite of efficient storytelling. To focus just on those moments. Yeah, and
I couldn't remember because this woman is robotized, like she's there with Tony Todd.
Yeah.
Is it It's not a flashback though, right? Is she having a dream? Heroine...
I don't think it's ever... Everything is both a dream and a flashback, I think.
Okay. All right.
Well, because they refilm... We see the torture and the death again at a different time of day, as we previously
Yes, and from a different angle. It also looks as though he's being crucified, maybe?
Yeah.
But it's too close up to really tell, but he...
Yeah. So... We've refilmed that, and again, I suspect you're right in saying that rights issues are probably at play. Because why would why wouldn't you steal from a superior the footage directed by a superior filmmaker if you had it to hand?
Yeah, right.
But maybe our guy doesn't think like that.
But it's also a new production company, so he might not have been allowed.
Or it might just have been a choice. They might have Bill Condon about, fucking take it. I want your movie. I want your movie to do well because then more people will watch my movie. And it's like, no, we're good. We got another.
Oh no, I could do it myself.
We're going in a different direction.
You know what's funny is because when we wake up out of this, when we wake up out of this dreamscape, I made a note that we're in LA now.
Uh-huh.
And this is the first time in the movie, because I suspected it, but this is the first time I think the movie's telling me we're in LA now, was my note.
Oh, okay. Well, we're definitely going... Yeah. That's interesting. There's no reason why it should be LA. Except...
No, that's just where she is.
Well, if it's... That's the thing. It's like... It's counterintuitive because it makes sense because this movie is about Day of the Dead and Latino people. And again, it's like The Cop. It's like there's nothing wrong with this story as a story. It's just, why are we telling the story?
Yeah.
So again, like, it makes the setting makes sense in the film that we're in, but we don't know why we're in the film that we're in because that's not what the franchise is. So it's the cart before the horse in a lot of respects here.
Absolutely. Well, she's about to say the name 5 times, and we're going to see...
Oh, they got to get something better. Something better device, right?
We're about to start our story in earnest after that. Why don't we take our first break, and we'll come back?
Yeah. Let's hope the over 5 times we've both said Candyman won't cause us to get a hook through the aorta before we come back.
Oh, might be for the best.
Well, I'm gonna see. You'll know. The listeners will know because whatever time we're at now, there'll be about a minute left to do the Vegas Beer Guys ad, and then that's it. We're
right,
and then death.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody. Right after this. Does the coronavirus have you feeling oogie? Have you been sitting on your couch for weeks? Nay, have you been sitting on there for months? Well, it's time for you to get back in shape. Check out 2AT Fitness. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on Facebook. 2AT Fitness was started by Tina Bernard. She is ready and raring to go to help you get back into the shape you want to get into. They've got all kinds of classes. They've got outdoor in-person classes. They've got online classes if that's what you prefer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get back in shape. You're going to find a variety of exercises. You're going to have strength training, cardio, weightlifting, even fun 5-minute burnouts that will push you to your limits. So get off the couch, get into shape. Go ahead and check out 2AT Fitness. Tina Bernard has got you for all your needs. I know her personally. She's fantastic. You're not going to meet a better person to help you become the new you. Check it out. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are talking about Candyman 3, Day of the Dead, directed by that famous man, Turi Meyer.
Is he even a man? Have we confirmed that he's a man?
I had to look it up because I wasn't sure. That name was ambiguous enough where I thought, I don't know if this is a man or a woman. Looked him up, it was a man.
I already feel sorry enough for this movie. I'm actually glad I'm not dissing a young female filmmaker at the same time.
Yeah. So that was the thing, was the name I thought could be a woman, but based on how much naked boobs are in this movie, I thought this has to be a man. That's so weird.
Well, or an extremely butch lesbian. I mean, but you know, even there, you suspect there'll be a sensitivity towards what it's like to be a woman that is not in this movie.
Even for a guy like myself, who I have said before likes tits, I'm like, geez, there's a lot of tits in this movie.
Yeah, it's very tit forward, isn't it?
It's tit forward. Those tits have blood on it.
Well, yeah, but this is, I mean, you know, this is the. I think I said this in the ranking episode, that every direct-to-video feature has that scene where it can become a softcore porn movie,
right?
And we definitely have multiple of those scenes here, but it never quite crosses that bridge.
Never quite get there.
This is where I was looking at the painting of Tony Todd as the titular bee killer, and he's got he literally has a "what do you want from me" look on his face. In the style of the painting from Goodfellas. It's a cross between "what do you want from me" and "what you talking about, Willis." It's
this guy here saying, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah, this is Candyman saying, "What do you want from me?"
Now, because my question was, did he reproduce one of her paintings? Because doesn't the actor Jesus Garcia, doesn't he put the hook through the painting?
Oh, good question, yeah. So it's a fake?
Because she had no reaction to, other than being a reaction to being scared by him, she doesn't have a reaction of like, you just fucking destroyed my painting.
Yeah. It would make more sense if it was a copy, but they never address that, if that is the case. Well, she leaves the art gallery opening outraged. And she heads to the reason why no one takes public transport in LA, because apparently in order to get on it, you have to go down the Monica Bellucci rape underpass from Irreversible. What is this place? You've lived in LA. Is this what like the subway stations look like? This hellscape?
No, that's. I kept wondering, where are we? Because that platform is very tiny.
Well, yeah.
You can only fit 2 people on it. It looks, like you said, like a hellscape. And I thought it's such a weird choice, because what year? It's got to be around this time. I remember when that movie Volcano came out with Tommy Lee Jones. There's a scene where that takes place in the subway, and people were like, "Subway? What are you talking about?" It's like, yeah, LA has a subway. It's like people
right.
need to be educated
right.
that LA has subways, but it's very clean.
Well, yeah, because if nobody uses it, it's gonna be immaculate.
Nobody uses it.
But I just thought that was a very strange, and it's not like. Is she? Well, I guess this is the problem as well. It's like where is she at economically? Like, I don't know the stakes of does she need to sell this art to?
Right, that's
to
never
live?
established. It's never. Yeah, right. It's never. She's a starving artist. She lives in a nice apartment with a roommate.
She comes from money, literally slave traders.
Yeah.
So she's got money.
From here, you can see the slave quarters.
Oh my god, yeah. And the effects continue to bottom out from the low point of the mirror breakage in the last movie, because at one point we have kind of some Candyman hovering, and it's like you're moving clip art across a PC screen.
I felt two ways about it. I thought exactly what you said. It does look like it's just sort of been superimposed.
I have to go back to Candyman says I have to go back to my planet now and just kind of
right. But he also chooses to show it from quite a distance away.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't you?
And it oddly, I thought like I was looking at something that didn't look good, but looked like the best thing I was gonna see in this movie.
Sure, yeah. Well, I disagree with that. I think effects wise, there's some in the second half. There's some better stuff.
Well, I didn't know that at the time, though.
That's true. That's true. You got to take in direct-to-video cinema. You got to take it scene by scene, because you don't know how low it can go. Right? I'm with you. You're watching these once again. You're watching these movies right. I'm watching them wrong. I like this idea of the kind of like flash forward of the kills, but again, it did feel like they were just trying to get to the porn parody version of Candyman. Like, they just wanted to see
very much so.
I don't think that was the intention, even though it's an interesting use of timeline. I don't think
she got some honeycomb that she's like...
Yeah.
She's painting the honey on her naked body.
Yeah. Paint me like your bees. Paint me like your French bees. Covered in honey.
As I recall, the bees actually come in and attack her.
Yeah.
And then Candyman kills the gallery owner. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Also, so I know these bees didn't seem very mobile. There's lots of like clumps of bees that don't seem like they're necessarily live bees. Which, I'm always in a bind with this because, in a practical cinema sense, there's no substitute for live bees swarming,
right,
coming out of people's mouths and, hanging off their face. But you just can't subject actors to that anymore.
I want to say that they could not afford the bee wrangler that they had on the first two films.
Well, he cost $2 million, so they were fucked.
But I also want to say that he didn't want to not be a part of the film. I don't know if he
did it for free.
If he did it,
gave
for
him
free
all his dead bees.
Cheaper services.
Well, maybe he gave them all the dead bees, and that's why none of them look like they're moving.
Yeah. They just look like they're painted, like it's sort of stuck, like glued on the face.
The filmmaker was like, "How much? We don't have enough for the live bees. How much are your dead bees?" And he's like, "You can fucking take them. Saves me a job.
You can have my dead bees. I've been trying to think of a way to get rid of these dead bees for years.
Can't squeeze no more honey out of them.
And then I'll give you 12 bees that can just sort of buzz around.
I think that's it. It's
clumped bees.
Exactly. It's like these are the These are like the Hollywood bees. These are the kind of like
Yeah,
make it look like something's happening, kind of the misdirection bees, and then there's just patches of bee fluff on all over their bodies. I thought there were lots of missed opportunities for bee puns in these scenes as well, which shows me that Candyman doesn't have a sense of humor. I mean, historically, why should he, given what was done to him? But
just considering how he left this world.
But Michael Myers has got a sense of humor. Even Jason Voorhees at times cracks a joke.
Uh-huh.
And all that happened to him. But I thought
Freddy and Chucky are joke forward. They're all about the jokes.
But there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here. Like when he says "bee leave," but he doesn't emphasize the bee.
You said that like you're so disappointed in him. He doesn't emphasize the bee.
And then later in the movie he says peace, and I would have loved it. He says, "Sorry, I don't mean peace. I mean bees." And this is where it gets extra confusing, even within the police procedural C plot, which turns out to be the A plot of the movie.
That's my next note. How is one group of cops that are racist allowed to boot off one set of other cops off the case? That's not their decision.
So we've got a black man that's Baby Winston, right? It must be.
Yeah.
Because there's no other black people in the movie somehow, apart from Tony Todd. That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
That just occurred to you.
There's no reason why it should be the case, right? I mean, it's
right.
And then there's a white woman. So I don't know what the point. So at this point, I'm like, well, if they're here, what's the point of LA Confidential over there? Like, what are we following these two? Like beating up black guys in the basement jail guys doing here. So, but they talk about
ends up taking her home, and he's fronting himself as the nicest man in the world.
Yeah.
And doesn't one cop say she's a witness, and the other one says she's a piece of ass is what she is.
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable.
And we're shown kind of racism within the police force.
Yeah.
In this scene. Well, that's the only discussion of racism in the entire movie. Which is not to say, we're in LA. It's a relevant issue, right? You can't talk
Absolutely.
about police without racist police brutality and the racism that the kind of endemic racism there. But again, right, this is supposed to be what we're talking about anyway in other parts of the movie, and we're not talking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm convinced this was a pre-existing script that had nothing to do with Candyman.
I couldn't decide if the writer and the director of this movie thought that.
Sorry.
Well, is this what they think is passes muster for bringing race into the movie?
Yes.
Is having these racist cops, right?
Oh,
That's
it could even be an accident where it literally never crossed their mind, and they were like, "Well, we're in LA. We've got to do something
That's
about
what I'm starting to think.
the racism that would be between these two cops."
It's crazy.
It's insane. And when he drops her up, when he drops her back off at the house, there's some serious sun tinting of that establishing shot of her apartment. I've heard of day for night, but cloudy afternoon for sunsets, news to me. That's a new one.
That's like our when we were doing Tremors, there was sand for snow.
Yeah, they add it to the list. Sand for snow, cloud for sunset.
Yeah.
And also, having set this movie in LA, they've picked the two most New York sounding and acting police officers in all of modern day police.
Yeah, right. There is a disconnect there.
You know, just because they're wearing sunglasses doesn't mean they feel like real LA cops.
They feel like, I think their backstory was they got kicked out of the New York Police Department. Yeah. And LA was like, oh, we'll take you.
Yeah, I ended up calling them the Friends of Sipowicz as the movie went on because I swear they're in like a... one or both of those were day players on NYPD Blue, and I guarantee one or both of them had a storyline in which they were all friends of Sipowicz, but still drinking, unlike him, and he had to bust them for corruption or something like that.
No, I figured it was like you'd see them in the locker room and they go like this.
Oh, well,
that.
Thankfully, the listeners can't hear what you did, but I remember that episode vividly.
Me too. I remember when, is it Shannon or Sharon? Sharon Lawrence? When she says, I see you do this.
Yeah, that's the end of the episode. Don't ever teach our son that.
Don't you ever teach our son that.
Amazing.
I'll never forget that.
Our Sipowicz sat there in his vest, in a chair, slumped over, realizing he's a racist. It's amazing. Yep. Oh, it's a great episode. It's one of my favorite episodes of that show.
Very good.
Yeah.
I always also think of Homer. I want to wear short sleeves like Sipowicz.
You know, I went through a Sipowicz phase as well, where I was like, you know, this is the body.
The look.
Unless I fight very strongly against it, this is the body God gave me. So Sipowicz is as creative a solution to that as any other. So yeah, the short sleeve shirts.
True.
And, I still think you're out there, you know, Hollywood producers of TV want to do a Sipowicz prequel. The clock is ticking. I'm nearly the age Dennis Francois was when he first started in the role. So, young Sipowicz,
I love
it's on you. Ball's in your court. Now
for this movie, I have a question for you.
Oh yeah, this movie.
Did you, like I, know immediately as she's walking to her apartment that her roommate was just doing acting?
I didn't. No.
Oh.
I can't. Yeah, but it's a big ask. It's like, what is bad? What is in-world bad acting, and what is just bad acting?
I know.
That's hard. Well,
I saw that joke coming a mile away.
Well, it's interesting because it feels like it feels like the director said, let's throw something in for the Scream audience.
Yeah.
Let's have her be an actress, and she's like, she's practicing her audition. Because I don't think it's established.
Which is just screaming.
Yeah. She'd do that over the phone, couldn't she? Really?
Yeah.
But it hasn't been established she's an actress either. I think that was my other disconnect.
So this is one of my notes because
I mean she's in LA, so we assume.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I think this movie poses questions late that they keep answering minutes later. For instance, I kept thinking, like I said earlier, this looks like Los Angeles. Are we in Los Angeles? And then 20 minutes into the movie, they're like, we're in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, movie. I appreciate that. And there's one coming up here where, because you go to the bathtub murder dream with the bloody boobs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And looking at the actor, I said to myself, well, no, wait, is that supposed to be the last film's heroine? Because she looks so much like her, but Uncanny Valley kind of doesn't look like her, right?
In that they're both
and I thought this movie's
women,
inept enough that they might. This movie's inept enough that they just might hire someone that looks exactly like her. And then 2 minutes later, you learn that is her mom. She starts talking about how her mom died and in a bathtub. And you realize, oh my God, she's her daughter. Okay, so you hadn't really explained that to me yet, movie. And so this movie is always doing these things where you're thinking something and your intuition is right.
Yeah.
But they're not clarifying it to you until a few minutes later or many minutes later. It's odd. It's also a strange way to make a movie.
Also, the way that you described it sounds like a really bad police interrogation. We ask the questions late and we answer them even later. Oh, no, that's not how it's done. Detective, that's not how it's done.
Where were you on the night of August 4th? Now you sit there for a while and think about it.
Now you think about your answer, and I'll be back in 10 minutes. Oh, man. Yeah,
Did you notice their mermaid coffee table?
I didn't know, but that sounds like a Goodwill purchase.
You should go back and watch it for that.
I definitely should, yeah. But again, it gets to that point, and we've seen this in sequels before, where we're pretending that we're a sequel to the film that just took place, but we're actually a sequel to the film that happened in between the two movies, because so much happened between the two movies that needs to be accounted for. You're actually not a sequel to what happened in the previous movie. You're a sequel to this film that in between
that doesn't exist
and hasn't been made.
Right.
And this was an example of this. Like, if you need to fill in this many gaps in the story, that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother movie,
movie. And I need to
because
see that movie.
All I'm seeing is our lead character taking a Silkwood shower, but I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah. Silkwood shower. Yeah. And there's this. Is this where she's sketching Candyman as well? She does like a pencil drawing of him, I think, in this scene. Or there is one in the apartment. I think so,
but then David comes in yelling at her like a true maniac, like someone who would kill someone.
Yeah.
But he's complaining to her about telling the cops that he may have been the one who killed someone.
Right. And it's
not good for your innocence argument when you come in like a raving lunatic.
And he's being racist, but to Mexicans.
True.
So, because that's what this movie's about. Cops and Mexicans.
It turns out.
Yes.
It turns out. Turns out in the end that's what this movie's about.
Yeah.
But then so it's funny because he comes in hot and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
What's his character's name? David De La Paz. David De La Paz, the actor, comes in yelling at her for sending the cops over to him.
Yeah.
And yet somehow they become partners and they start their own procedural within this procedural kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd.
Procedurals within procedurals. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I have a note here that says she sees Candyman again. This is when he throat slashes his mom.
Yes. Naked mom.
This is when we get... Huh?
Naked mom.
Naked mom.
Now, it goes without saying, but it's not normal to see... Flashback to the parent dying. She's not normally naked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad the original actor wasn't dragged back just for this.
Me too.
And I suspect this may have been the deal breaker, if there was any discussion.
Right.
It's just like, so your death scene's
no, you can get somebody else to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me tell you about your death scene. And something that, even in 99 doesn't feel like a long ago for me. It is a hell of a long time ago. The nervous smoking. Like, you're not allowed to kind of have neutral smoking anymore. There's always got to be a bit of judgment behind it, but there's still like,
right.
If things are bad, the first thing you do is light up a cigarette. So you're just like,
sure.
You're just like, well, we're not promoting cigarette use, but we're also not really condoning it because we're like, when you're stressed, what else are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, it's sort of semi-normalized at this point.
Yeah.
And then my next note is more small children.
Because we go see Abuela, right?
Yeah, and find out that...
and his daughter.
And yeah, his daughter was living with his daughter, and just like, back to sequels serving up smaller and smaller actors and characters from each installment.
Right.
Yeah, and Abuela's like faith healing, which I remember being the kind of new age vogue at the time.
Yeah, I wrote down that she's a healer, but I also wrote down that it's odd that this movie is choosing to show us a sort of mystic quality involved around Mexican culture and the Day of the Dead, but presenting it to me, I think, as though it's crazy.
Yeah. No, well, I wrote black magic with brown people. It's just like homogenizing.
That's much more succinct.
People of color just homogenized into one lump of mysticism.
Right. Especially by the time you start saying names into eggs and cracking the eggs. And then...
Oh, well, this I really like this, and it reminds me of your kind of Garage Quality story, because, you know, it's probably pretty cheap to find a...
Well, the bleeding egg looks... Actually, it's one of the few things that looks good.
But probably they just, you know, they found a blood... You know, they just cracked an egg that was mostly kind of fetus. I don't know how... I don't think they did anything to it, right? It's just...
Well, by the time we get to the point... Cause
I guess you can inject blood in... I guess you can inject blood into it.
Yeah, because they... Like, you have the red dot right from the beginning, which is...
Yeah.
Do they put that on, or... Because I feel like you watch the egg come into the cup, and then it's just there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the one part has to be like injected.
Sure. Well, when the bees start coming out, I don't think you get very lucky. It's just
but that in and of itself to me was kind of remarkable. That's a live bee crawling out of.
Oh, I think it's great.
I kept thinking, how the fuck did they do that? That looks great.
It's great, like DIY horror.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of stuff when you see Peter Jackson's movies, you're just like, oh, cool. You know, like he's got no money, but look. Mm-hmm. He's as inventive as fuck with these things. Yeah, I like the bloody bee egg.
It's very good. But then the racist cop attacks, right?
Well, does the little girl keep saying... It's again, like, you establish the rules of the franchise, and then, particularly this movie, just forgets to keep an eye on them. Because the little girl is saying Candyman repeatedly, and no one is taking it to task. Like,
paying any attention.
No one's like... Okay, that's 4, so just stop.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. You say you're scared of him? Stop saying his name. Because that's kind of part of the problem.
Well, that's the funny part of, say, the Jaws series. Well, just stay out of the water.
Yeah. Well, true, but you know, it's just funny that I bet there's probably not a script supervisor. It's probably not. It's like, just on this one page, the kid says it like 4 times, and isn't that sort of a part of the mythology? Like, that conversation obviously never happened.
Yeah.
Because they would have made something of it, and they never do. Well, I've got here the love scene, which is the closest we get to softcore porn.
That's right after the cop attack, though. I guess I took note of the cop attack because there was that terrible moment where he looks at her. This is after he's trying to be nice to her and
that's right,
have some sort of budding relationship. But the second she sees him with De La Paz, he says, "You make me sick."
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, so this guy, the guy he wanted to harass is already dead, so now he's got to transfer his hate somewhere.
That's right.
But you're right. They go right into drinking shots and
So if this scene goes on for the next hour, it's a softcore porn. If it's minutes long, you're still in a direct-to-video movie.
It's an hour and a half long movie that takes 45 minutes to get to the softcore porn.
If you've ever
just the rest of it is total fucking.
The narrative structure of those kind of like cable softcore porn films is just like, it's 3 scenes. It's like the sex version of Speed. It's like 3 set pieces.
Oh, this is where I said this was pre-Coco, because we get a Day of the Dead explanation.
This is exactly what I wrote. I'm glad that we were both thinking about Aldrich in this moment. I'm sure he would hate that. Because I was just, but also, it's sort of like guest mythology of the week.
Uh-huh.
It's like if the series went on, would you have to have a different sort of ethnic traditional festival each time in a different city? Like, how would it kind of
for my sequel pitch? I kept thinking, do I need to look up another racial ethnic kind of festival? Do I need to find one?
Spin the wheel, you know?
Yeah.
Get those what do you call it? Family Guy manatees to put those balls together.
I landed on something else that might turn my pitch from serious sequel to comedy sequel real quick.
Great. Happy to hear it. Yeah, I had to go in another direction probably because of that problem too. But also, there's muddy, and I don't know if just again that softcore porn quality is tainting everything.
Yeah.
But this was the first. I mean, admittedly, I've only seen this and Farewell to the Flesh featuring Tony Todd's Candyman, but it did seem here like, does he want to get it on with his descendant, like his grand?
That's my question, because it looked so sexual.
Yeah.
To the point that I thought this feels like incest.
Yeah, but I mean it is, because she's his great granddaughter,
and it was
something.
weird. I also made a judgment call of something that I thought this movie would do, but was too dumb to do, because when she and De La Paz start having sex, I wrote down, I wonder if he'll die and she'll have a baby.
Yeah.
And that leads us to our next film. Uh-huh. But that didn't happen.
Well, yeah, because he's already got a daughter, so
no, right.
Maybe
but
they were thinking.
Descendant.
Well, that was it. Maybe they're thinking one step ahead. It's like whoever we want, she's gonna be like 78 in the next movie or something. This little kid, and it'll be set 2 years later.
That's
and
what I'm
they'll
doing
be like
with my pitch.
But it'll be because that kid will just maybe they were like, well, there's no incest problems there because she's not biologically related, so we can have as much fucking as we want. He can ghost fuck her all he wants. Yeah, and then it's interesting. This is another kind of jump scare note. I had a lot of jump scare notes for Farewell to the Flesh, and I've got one here as well. Like, it's actually a better version of a jump scare, because the roommate gets killed after all, which at the very least is following through on what you promised to do originally with your first jump scare.
Correct.
So it's almost just there's that weird symmetry to all the storytelling that works internally here.
Well, and it starts to feel like the second movie in terms of now she's going to have to be a person on the run.
Yeah.
Because the cops are going to blame her.
Right. True. But I guess, yeah, I kind of like that they didn't mind killing her off, having set it up earlier. At least they're thinking through some of their plot points, is what I'm saying, I suppose.
Every once in a while, here and there, they're thinking things through. And in this scene, so much so that there's that one shot, because he hooks her from, it's got to be difficult. I mean, I guess if you have superhuman Candyman strength, you can push a hook through the back of a body, but
yeah, how does he get around the spine every time?
It's round, the part that he's pushing through. It's not spiky.
Yeah,
you got to come from the other side to get the spike, but he's just pushing straight through. But then they have that establishing shot of her kind of floating in the air as he's carrying her towards the roommate.
Yeah, and
just drops her in her hands. And I thought to myself, oh, that feels like kind of evidence, like she's going to be covered in blood and there won't be anything there except to suspect her.
True. Yeah, exactly.
Never really comes back though.
No. I was gonna say that you thought more about it than they did just then. Sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is when Crazy Cop comes back. Crazy friend of Sipowicz comes back and starts slapping her around, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what am I watching? Is this it's going to become a snuff movie? Why am I watching this guy slapping her around? And
this is one of those really weird parts, because when they take her out to the car,
this is weird,
and it's as though the badder cop is going to murder her.
Yeah.
And the other guy has to push him away. This special relationship once again. He's a good guy once you get to know him. He just flies off the handle every once in a while, but he gets him to kind of go away. And it's this unspoken bond between them that is so odd and strange in this movie.
Yeah. You try to. It's like you try to murder one of the witnesses. I've totally got your back. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I also thought of, because this is 99 and it's 97 that Scream 2, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Back of the cop car stuff.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
They make it much easier because there's no cage from front to back seats in this particular
it's just
cop
a regular
car,
car, yeah. That plainclothes detectives, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the most uncanny valley moments of dialogue in the movie. Because she says, where are you taking me? And normally in a movie someone would just say the police station. Whereas he replies, Los Angeles Police Station, Boyle Heights Division. I was like, was this written by fucking AI? What's going on here? Right. Is he reading from the script? Is he reading the stage directions in the script? Why did he say it like that?
I can tell you exactly why he said it like that, because when he said that, I kept picturing the writer writing down in his notes, I got to find the address because that'll sound so copy. It'll sound cop-ish.
Yeah. So they're trying to do like the intertitles.
Because I'll have the real address. Oh God, I'm good.
They're trying to do the intertitles from Dragnet, basically, or Law and Order.
Yeah.
But in verbal form.
Chung Chung.
Yeah, Chung Chung. But it's not like in Law and Order. They're like
Chung.
Yeah. New York Police Department 8038. No. You don't read it out. That comes up on the screen and people read it.
Because they have that moment, too. They call back to the second movie because one of them says the New Orleans Police Department was very helpful.
That's right. So they've watched the last movie. They've seen Candyman Farewell to the Flesh. And this is where I started to notice that the kill quality gets progressively better as the movie goes on. There's some decent kills. And then we immediately...
He pops up from that seat like a Jack-in-the-Box, Candyman.
And then an hour into the film... There's a sequence which is kind of just a trailer for the movie. It feels like they filmed a trailer and then they looked for a place.
Which scene? What are we talking about?
Well, it's just like a montage. It's like a kind of... It's literally a trailer. It's like a montage of kind of Candyman's greatest hits almost. With voiceover.
Is it flashbacky?
It's like it's supposed to be flashback, but it looks like a montage trailer, and I suspect they filmed a trailer, they were short on time, and they were just like, okay, let's try and find the least intrusive way to put this in the movie. And they decided, well, here's as good a place as any.
Yeah, right.
And this really reminded me that this was a late 90s film coming up, because there's a fisheye camera lens representing a peephole.
Peephole, yeah.
And you know that the director saw that the night before filming on an episode of Seinfeld, and he was like, I'm going to put that in tomorrow. He watched the reverse peephole episode.
Yeah.
Where Kramer and Newman reverse their peepholes. We're comfortable with our bodies. Yeah.
And then Well, I was just going to say, first of all, the reason I thought of, before we get to Abuela's, the reason I thought of Scream is because she has to go over his body.
Yeah.
And that's like a straight pull from that movie.
It is, yeah. But it's good, it's good basic horror as well.
It is, yeah. I mean, I
think that's why I started to
There's not a lot of tension ratcheting up in this movie, and that's about as close as they can get.
Pretty much. And you always know you're in trouble in a movie when you get flashbacks to something that happened minutes before in the movie, because
yes, right.
That's how you pad a movie out.
I can't even read my own writing. But I did laugh when she was at Abuela's because she takes a shower, I think, right?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
But we get this. I'm sure the director was thinking, "Poor me," because this. What is she, a Playboy Playmate, the lead actor?
I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me.
But she did not want to perform any nudity in this film, and that overhead shower shot was the closest the director could get But I
so
just
he just made everyone else every other woman in the movie naked.
Exactly. He made everybody else naked, but I kept imagining him trying to get her naked at some point in the film, and she has to take a shower here, and she's like, I'm not going to do it. He goes, that's fine. Just put on this really tight tank top with no bra, and we're good.
Right, exactly.
And we'll finish the movie. Because that's where we go from here, but I love this moment when she is talking to De La Paz's daughter, like the cops come.
Yeah.
They're trying to find her because they think she's a killer, and she says, I gotta get out of here. And she says, I know, the back door. I thought to myself, yes, every apartment I've ever had has had a back door.
Right. Does she mean fire escape? Like, what is that what she's...
Do we see her go down a fire escape?
No, I'm just trying to rationalize why the apartment has a back door.
Oh,
I'd love it if she just opened the back door and then just fell to her death from a great height. Yeah. And it was just like, in this scene, the small girl is crying, and I'm just like, oh, God, I hate it when sequels are buried in children. Because it's just it gets so lazy so quick, it's so mawkish so quickly when you have children around. You don't have to, but they do.
But they always do.
That's why the children are there, essentially.
Well, we're about to have a chase into the Mardi Gras, Day of the Dead parade. Why don't we take our last break and we'll come back?
And we'll answer the question of, does Candyman only come out during carnival time? He's the carnival time killer.
I was this close to setting my sequel at the Columbus Day Parade.
The Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. It's just a
I
big
thought of that
Candyman balloon descending down with a hook.
If it didn't take place too close to L.A., I was thinking, Pasadena, the Tournament of Roses Parade. Let's go.
New year, new Candyman.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll take another break and we'll come right back.
I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer.
And we're back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Tom and I are here, finishing up with Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. All right, this movie's gonna kind of ratchet it up, right? I mean, we're going to 11 all of a sudden. Like,
yeah,
we got this parade.
This is where I warmed up a little bit to it.
Yeah, started to like it. Yeah, a lot of inconvenient things happen to her. She's in the parade and seeing Candyman, so she starts screaming, and that brings in the cops.
Oh no, yeah. So he sort of comes out during festival time. We have our politically correct cop couple or couple.
They're back. They're back all of a sudden.
They're not very enlightened though, because they're making jokes about PMS.
I
don't know if that is just an easier seemed less sexist
It's still the 90s.
in the late 90s, but what with Janine Garofalo and all. Yeah, and well, she's got a great scream. This is where she does a big scream, right? Which,
yeah,
as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's what got her the role. They just forgot to audition her for the other aspects of acting. I guess now you said Playboy Playmate, that makes a little more sense as well, but...
In my head, I thought the director probably thought she's got a great set of lungs. And a great set of lungs.
Yay! Yeah. Well, it's also funny. It's like it's the same story all the time. It's like, oh, we get these women who have done like topless modeling, and then they won't take the tops off in the movies. I'm like, no shit. Why do you think they want to be in a movie? So they don't have to fucking take their tops off for money. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you could just be like, well, the movie's a piece of shit, but at least I don't have to take my top off for a living anymore.
By the way, can you take your top off?
Yeah. It's like, no, it's always the same though. It's like, well, we cast her for her tits and then she didn't want to get naked. It's like, well, she didn't know you cast her for her tits.
Right.
You probably didn't tell her that at the audition, did you?
I'll tell you what I thought of quite a bit in this moment was, you remember Project Greenlight, right?
Vaguely, yeah.
The Matt Damon, Ben Affleck kind of give a no-name a shot, let them make their movie show.
That's how they started.
Yeah, and then so they decided that none of these movies that ever get made were ever making any money. They got to make something that'll make money. So they decide to go on a horror bend, and they have this movie Feast. And they're showing the filming of the movie as well, and I'm going to blank on her name now. Krista Allen. Remember, she was in our Final Destination series, and she dated George Clooney, and anyway, she was famous. I remember
one of those facts, yeah.
All right. She was famous as doing, I want to call it Emmanuel in space movies.
Oh, wow, okay.
Where she's just naked all the time. And then you just see the director saying, I mean, she's fucking naked in those movies all the time. And she's like giving me grief about me asking her to show us her tits in this movie. It's just so bothersome. Like, he's so put out about it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, Jesus Christ, this fucking poor person.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to be in this genre picture and do some acting. And there's the male director saying, well, there's another reason we hired you, and it was your big, beautiful tits. Can't we see them?
Yeah.
So I kept thinking of that as I was watching this and thinking, that she was going through the same shit.
Completely, yeah. We've got a moment where the bearded Latino male dressed up as he's not. Originally, this was a little bit muddy. I thought originally that she got him to disguise himself as her so she could get away, but it's just a coincidence. He just happens to be in drag, and they mistake him for her.
Well, because they're also trying to fake out us. They want us to think it's her.
And the
filmmakers.
But don't they also want to think that we haven't talked about the kind of cholo gang that she kind of gets help from, or thinks she gets help from before they turn on her.
Well, because she thinks that they stole her art.
Oh, really? I didn't even clock that.
Yeah, there was something about they had stolen their art. That's when when it was briefly a procedural with her and her new boyfriend trying to follow what the fuck.
Oh, that's right. And then they go to Mexican Godfather.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's sitting like at the back of the social club with a
who, when first introduced to us, appears to be some sort of mystic and/or ghost, but then turns out to be a real person.
Yeah.
Because he just disappears into the wind in one beginning scene as he's giving out candies or whatever he gives to her.
Yeah. But they're not even...
And then it turns out he's a real person.
Well, they're not even the gang we should be worried about, because it turns out there's a goth cult.
It's the goth cult that loves...
proxy for Candyman.
They love Candyman.
Proxy for Candyman. And then they, in true goth style, they give her a ball gag, a la the Gimp.
That was the part
Pulp
I was
Fiction.
talking about.
Oh, yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
why is she in a ball gag? What the fuck?
I guess because, Pulp Fiction, I guess.
That's the only thing I could think of.
And, I don't know. Goths can be into S&M, but I don't think they're necessarily... I don't think necessarily being a goth might just be that you like black eye makeup and Marilyn Manson, not that you're into kinky sex, as I understand it. But who knows? But yeah, I thought, well, these goths kind of feel very Clive Barker-y in their Hellraiser, kind of, in a Hellraiser sense.
Well, I wrote down the cult who worships Candyman is a late non-surprise. Surprise.
Well, they're surprised in the sense that I'd completely forgotten about them, that they were even in the movie, that there were these characters were ever in the movie.
That's true.
Last time we saw them was at the art gallery, which was about an hour
minute
ago.
15.
Yeah. And then Candyman comes out and he essentially kills the goths who are appropriating his culture, and I'm just like, again?
Yeah.
Good job, Candyman. No.
I'm on your side.
I have no issue with you. I have no quarrel with you.
I like because she wakes up and everybody's dead. Oh, did you notice there was that? They really take a long time on that rat shot where the rat is pawing at the brains.
Is it a Jason Takes Manhattan style long rat shot?
Yeah, yeah. And you get a little kind of slapping Foley work with
stretching
slapping
the dough.
that brain around.
Stretch out that dough as thin as possible. Yeah.
It reminded me, it was a little gross, but also reminded me of the Three Stooges.
And this is where, watching the movie for the first time, I thought, well, surely, after he attacks her and then his cop partner pulls him off, we're done with these cops now.
Yeah, right.
That's the end of their arc, essentially. That arc
we forgot to mention... We forgot to mention that in the parade, Ernie Hudson Jr. Lays him out.
Right.
And does he get fired too? Is it he's off the force? I forget. Don't they find out something terrible?
Don't they take him away in cuffs? Yeah, they take him. I think they take him away in cuffs.
Do they? Okay.
Before they decide.
But we don't get an explanation as to how he escapes. But
oh, maybe not.
But we are surprised to see that he comes back.
Well, maybe they just punch him out because. Yeah. And this is because he's we're following what I've termed his McNulty arc. And what I actually wrote was this has no impact on the horror story.
Yeah, right.
And I think that gets to the crux of the issue. That we're in a horror film. This is a police procedural storyline. And it's not even I assume, Spiral, which I've never seen, where the two are intermingled. Or, lots of horror films where it's a police procedural, but Seven or something. Yeah. It's all interconnected. Right. This isn't interconnected at all until the last second of the movie.
Well, not just that, but I asked myself, is this movie on his side? Because he screams at the top of his lungs. He says, "One little fuck up," and all of a sudden I lose my job.
Yeah. So he is fired.
One little fuck up, he said.
So he has been fired. Does being punched out, is that effectively that's how they fire you in LA?
You're fired.
Yeah.
That's. There's this moment that, she wakes up.
Mm-hmm. In the bee cave, you mean? Are we in the bee cave yet?
Yeah. Well, when the gang gets killed. And she thought she was going to die, but Candyman shows up. He kills all of them. But she starts yelling at Candyman, too, where she says, "You took everything from me, my family, my mother." And I desperately wanted her to say, I wanted this to become more of a comedy where she says, "You took everything from me, my family, my mother." She kind of starts looking around the room. These criminals, everybody.
That bee.
Yeah. That bee and the egg.
Yeah. I wonder, do you think I started to think that maybe Tony Todd's agreement to be in this movie came with certain conditions that his involvement in the movie would involve no more than a half-hour recording session, because they repeat a lot of his lines, and
True.
It is not for emphasis. It's very clear what's going on. He keeps saying your life for his. You get it on the second time, and they say it about 5 times in succession.
5 times.
Did they just run out of whatever was recorded in that half-hour session?
I also kept thinking that it's reported $3 million, but really $1 million they spent on this movie, that maybe $750,000 went to Tony Todd.
Yeah. I can't imagine he's working for scale, right? I mean, he's the titular Candyman.
So she goes to that warehouse and finds David, who is hooked up on the meat hooks, which it looked like kind of Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, it's also, once they get into the bee cave, it looks like a little bit Alien, like a Halloween store version of Alien.
Yeah.
Very cocoony. Or Hy-Vee, I suppose, which makes sense. But this set keeps changing. Like, every time the camera passes over it, I swear there's more skeletons. Like, there doesn't look like there's anything there, and then the next time you see it, it's like a bunch of fucking skeletons. So it's like someone went down to Spirit Halloween between takes, and just to pad it out a little bit. It's like it's just pretty. Apart from, it's just bees. Can we have something aside from just bees? It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll be back in 10. Make sure you get a receipt. We've got exactly $12 left.
Don't you get any fucking food. We got that pizza.
It's only day 6 of the pizza. Okay? And now it walks over to you when you want it.
Well, now, because one of my notes is, I think it's funny that it's in the waning moments of the third movie of this trilogy, but I started noticing, I gave not voice, but written word to something that had been on my mind this whole time, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the ranking episode, which is, I don't understand how all of this works. Like, it's always very clear, the Freddy rules, right? He's in your dreams. And then by the end you realize you can pull him out of the dream.
I don't know, we'll see in a year.
Like,
I seem to remember at least one of the films where Freddy's kind of jumping around around a swimming pool at a teen party. So I don't know. I don't know if those rules are as clear cut as you're making them out.
So that's the thing. This kind of speaks to what I was talking about earlier, where it bothers me in one but not the other, because every time Candyman is summoned, it appears as though the women are kind of drunk, as they sort of oh, I'm in a trance and I will do whatever you say. And I don't know, he seems to be in our world, but when you see it on tape, he's not there. So he's also a ghost or mist or whatever he is. He's real, he's not real. Like, the movie's rules aren't exactly straightforward, and all of that. I guess I noticed it more than ever because like in this particular moment, it was like, so pow, and he got, like, his just showing up makes her go slack-jawed and sort of, in both this movie and the last movie, they have to kind of wake themselves up out of this trance to say, no, I will not fall prey to your nonsense. And they just choose to do something else.
I think, it is that, because that whole idea of he died for love, so there's got to be a kind of romantic quality to him that's all about drawing in the women and entrancing them in the sort of, in the Dracula style. But he does, I gotta say, he looks awful. When Candyman is immersed in fire, he looks very Sleepy Time Killer.
Yeah.
And also very pixelated, so he looks like that 18-bit Freddy from kind of one of the later sequels when it's Freddy.
One of the laters, yeah. But it's funny because it feels like the way she dispatches him in this movie is exactly like the last movie. They just decided it's the painting is what's important instead of the mirror.
Yeah, right. Just so basically we're saying any kind of framed object at this point.
This is downfall.
Any framed object containing an image. Yeah, I guess you got to lower the bar because Candyman would start getting wise to the ways to kill him. It's like it is again. It's like the Dracula movies. You've got to do it slightly differently each time. Once you burnt like sunlight, it's like the end of the first film. It's like pull down the curtains and have him burn in the sun. Second movie, turn a windmill into a crucifix. That'll do it. I'm not even joking. That's exactly what happens. And then everyone stands back as if it's the best thing that's ever happened. It's
ever.
Like, wait, so what the fuck you... It's just the shit. Well, anything that's the shape of a cross could kill him? Okay, fine.
But they do their best in this moment because this is
I like
big reveal when he opens his coat and there's
the
bees on his
guts,
face and the bees on his gutty body. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it's got practical heft to it for the first time in the movie. And also, real bees in a real mouth. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, that's why that's the sort of sub reason why you cast Tony Todd, because from based on filmic evidence, he's willing to put bees in his mouth for a role. So,
One last question. I won't do nudity. Right, but will you put bees in your mouth?
She didn't even look like she agreed to that necessarily.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you gotta. It's so. That's the thing. It's like I guess they were modeling it on how it looked, how the ribs and the guts looked previously. I mean, it's relative as far as practical effects go. It's relatively easy to do. I think you just buy some, buy some meat, right? You just cook some ribs and then put them inside your coat.
Oh man.
That's what they do on Walking Dead. I think it's like when their zombies are eating stuff, it's all barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be one of the conditions of being hired to be a zombie on Walking Dead is you can't be a vegetarian.
Because you be eating meat.
Yeah, you're eating kielbasa all day long.
Right. We're going to have you eat this rattlesnake sausage. It'll be a little looser when you rip it open.
Yeah, and still with our cops, right? Because this is where it all pays off.
So this is like this. Yeah, this is where I thought, oh my god, this is his story. He's going to be the crux of the story because they're really trying to sell the idea. Do they even talk about this in the second sequel? This is the second.
You
sequel.
must destroy the myth.
You have to destroy the myth.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think this is new because there's nothing about Candyman's public image in the last movie, like, right? There's nothing like that. Nothing.
Right.
No discussion of that.
Mm-hmm.
There is. I mean, I guess it's riffing on there's like a tit for tat idea, isn't there? It's like you'll become my victim, or he'll be the victim. I think we have one of those in every movie. Like with Michael in the last movie.
Right.
So there's a hostage, which is like, okay, you trade places with the hostage. So there's a sense of like, it's got to, always got to be like a payoff. There's always got to be a...
Mm-hmm.
But this is a very loose interpretation of that sub-rule, I think. It's like, no, as long as you get someone who makes for a convincing serial killer,
right?
Then the Candyman myth is... So they're basically they have to debunk the Candyman myth by saying it was just this cop who was a serial killer all along.
All along. Yeah. And he actually...
And he's dead anyway, so...
Yeah, he actually says, "I'm the Candyman," to her, right? Like
In what what context is he saying that? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I just
awfully lucky that he said that out loud to her.
Yeah, but what's funny is they say it as though it's evidence, but the only people that are hearing it are our heroine and the audience. Like nobody else is there.
It wasn't it. Didn't they tape record it or something? No, am I Mandela affecting that?
I don't think so.
Oh God. Okay.
Because what made me really laugh was...
He must have been a really bad cop if the LAPD are just like,
right,
it makes total sense. That's clearly what was going on all this time.
So she says that I've destroyed the myth, but what I love is that the next thing you see, I think it says 1 year later, and you see kind of a press conference from the cops saying, "We've done a year-long investigation." And I just thought, oh, you hamstringed yourself. A year-long investigation would definitely show evidence saying when this person was killed, this cop was way over here on the other side of town, nowhere near that murder, because he's not the murderer.
Well, look at Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It takes about half an hour, for that journalist to coax the real story out of Jimmy Stewart. That's just like one 40-minute interview. It's like, come on. There's a sustained police investigation is gonna figure it out. Yeah. Well, so I mean I think it's a loose interpretation of what has roughly happened so far.
Yeah, I just feel it was a matter of convenience. I think they think they were doing something very clever.
I think
they reversed this movie.
I think they reversed engineered it, because then spending so much screen time on the cops makes sense.
Right.
Only with this ending. I don't think it was the other way around. Like, we've got this C plot which we're unusually interested in. We've got to find a way to tie it into the main story. Because why would you do that? Like, why would you have that separate strand? Unless it was like I guess it was like, I don't know, scenes from another movie that wasn't getting made, and it came like a Frankenstein screenplay, which is possible, right? I mean, they were developing a different feature, and these cops were characters, and someone was responsible for kind of stitching together the films into one homunculus of a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it all makes internal sense, but not external sense.
Right.
Yeah, and then once we have this 1 year later, which I don't know about you, if ever I see like a time lapse at the end of a movie, just immediately my heart sinks. It's just there's such a lazy device, and I don't think there's any information conveyed in like a time lapse flash forward that you couldn't get another way, or that is necessary for you to understand or appreciate a movie.
Yeah, right.
I can't think of any 1 year later or 6 months later
that's been helpful. that made your movie better.
Yeah, that made your movie better or more understandable, or any of the things that it pertains to do.
It's the same thing as, and actually I just went through this. It's the same thing as showing like the inciting incident for a character.
Yeah.
The wife dying. That's why he's sad now. You don't have to show us the wife's death. You could just have your character be sad.
Or not be sad.
Yeah, true.
Not have that backstory, which is something I thought about very recently in a movie I saw. I was just like, this is, sometimes not everyone has to have a tragic backstory for a story to work.
Yeah. Right. But I just started that new Cross on Prime. The Alex Cross.
Oh yeah.
Series, and the very first scene is a scene of a loving wife and husband watching the Washington football team, then Redskins, I think, playing football and winning the game, and boy, don't they love each other so much. And she's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then you hear a gunshot. It's like, no, I'm right here, baby. cut to black 1 year later. I'm like, I don't need this.
No. Wow. Yeah, that's cheap.
Such an unfortunate storytelling device that we just can't seem to get away from.
And there's no actual storytelling in this sequence either. We're like, the distinctions between dream, flashback, and reality become utterly redundant. It feels really hastily put together, like it wasn't even a part of the original movie. And then when we get to the graveside, they're sort of trying to tease you with a Carrie-style jump scare that never happens.
Right. Appears.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you've got the little girl there, so again, the implication is clear. We're passing the baton to another generation of female children for the next...
But that's odd, right? Because she's not part of her family. And there should be lineage there, should there not? Or maybe that's what you're commenting on in the next movie.
Yeah, you could have more tits if there's no incest. It's probably what they're thinking. I don't know what they're thinking at all. I mean, that in the next movie, and the thing is that you leave. No, not in all of these movies, but certainly in the last movie, you leave your protagonist alive, and that screwed them up here because they had to kill them off in between movies through flashbacks.
Yeah.
So, even though the door looks like it's open, it's one of those kind of Wile E. Coyote painted-on doors that isn't actually open. You got to force it open. That door's not helping you. Yeah.
All right. Well,
that's it.
That's it. Anything left for you before a credit check?
No, that was my very last note. So I'll go into my credit check. First assistant director Juan Mas. So when he needs another take for actors, does in Spanglish he say Juan Mas? Juan Mas for Juan Mas? I was very proud of that. My next note, Jeffrey T. Eng Sr., but the senior, the SR, is on a separate line. So I'm wondering, is this a copy editing design mistake? Or is there a lighting technician called Sir? Key grip, Big Dave. Best boy, Old Dave. I know they think this is a funny in-joke, but I really want to know the relationship between these two people. And, specifically I want to know, are these two people related? Because that's all I'm looking for at this point. I'm convinced that... Because we've got drivers, Chris Walden, David Walden. Stuntmen and drivers have the most related crew members, I think, I've seen so far in my statistical sample that I'm amassing through these movies.
It sounded more like to me that they had two people in the same department and people kept saying Dave and they both would turn around and they're like, all right.
No, not Old Dave, Big Dave.
You're now Big Dave,
yeah.
Okay?
You could just call me like Dave S. No, Big Dave and Old Dave.
You're Big Dave, yeah. Big Dave. Shut your pie hole.
Can you at least say glandular problem, Dave? Bees provided by Insects for Entertainment, which
fantastic,
suggests to me they're using insects for other purposes somewhere else. No, these are bees for entertainment. Well, what are you using the other bees for? Never. You don't worry about it, okay? These ones are for entertainment. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Don't worry about it.
You want bees for birthday parties. That's not us.
Bees for self-loathing. Well, imagine being.
You're thinking of bees for enemies.
I'm happy being on the insects for entertainment list. Can you take me off the insects for self-loathing? And I'm not really fond of the people I've been loaned out to. And then finally, and this could be my favorite credit check of all time. So
you said that last week.
I said that so much has lost all meaning. But I'm not overselling this. When we get to the music, there's a Bach track, and it under where it normally has it normally has the composer credit. It just says public domain.
And that's my favorite.
Yeah, so I think we all know that's why you picked that song, but I've never seen it laid out so boldly as that in a set of end credits.
That's amazing.
Instead of, and not the composer, sorry, but when it would be like the company that licenses it. It just says public domain. It's like, yeah, I know why you picked it, but it comes from somewhere other than public domain, right? It's just like, it's like someone who's being far too honest with you. Like you're sort of like, why did you choose that particular track by about public domain? Well, yeah, obviously all classical music has that advantage, but no, public domain, that was it. They didn't think beyond that. And it was B, so it was high up in the alphabet. So it was the first one we saw. And that's the thing, like it bookended a movie for me, which comes in hot as a direct-to-video feature, and it goes out hot as a direct-to-video feature by listing public domain as the publishers of a track by Bach.
That says about all we need to say for this movie, doesn't
I think, yeah, public domain. That's it. They're happy to credit public domain. They see that as a pro. We save money. It's a positive thing. And that's it. That's my final credit check note. That might be my final credit check note ever, because it ain't gonna get any better than that. I might just stop looking. I might just stop looking might just stop looking at credits from this point on. It ain't gonna get any better than that. No matter how many related stuntmen I find in the future, it's not gonna top that.
All right. Well, there you have it. That, in fact, is Candyman 3, Day of the Dead, the direct-to-video sequel.
Pulling from the public domain.
Pulling from the public domain. And finishing out this series until we pitch. And then the series can be resurrected. Original series. I'm not talking about remake bullshit.
Well, I think it's fair to. I think at some point we're gonna do the original and the remake, and and in the words of the owner of the bodega in Seinfeld, that day is today, because we're doing it for this month's Patreon. And I have some questions about whether or not that's a remake, having started to watch it. So, if you want to hear more on that, give us $10. Give us
$10.
Or steal our content as a seven-day trial. Just go ahead and fucking do the trial, download all our stuff, and then cancel. I mean, I can't, do you want me to spell it out to you? Public domain, guys. It's almost like, I don't know, I exploit this all the time, the free 7-day trial. I download everything, and and because I've downloaded it, it stays there after the 7 days, so I can take as long as I want to listen to it. But you don't hear podcasters going, look, you can totally fucking steal the stuff. So
go nuts.
They give you my license.
There's a lot of good material on our Patreon.
Also, we're at a point in history where money isn't going to mean anything for much longer. So
yeah, right.
There might be a point where we're just like, because of tariffs,
send us fruit.
Right. Help us get out
and vegetables.
Help us get out of our Project 2025 prisons, and we'll give you a few free episodes. What?
How long is it going to take for you and I to get onto some sort of list that we don't want to be on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have the unerring advantage of being couple of white guys, so we're
True.
we're not anyone's targets. Even, I mean, I'm an immigrant, but I'm white and British, so they don't see me that way.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, confidentially, I'm exactly the kind of immigrant they should be trying to get rid of. Like, if Trump and his entourage were targeting all their hate speech at me, it'd be really hard to disagree with. Even I'd be like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah,
But they're targeting people who are making actual contributions to the national good. I'm not. And I'm easy to, you know, I don't need to be asked twice to leave a country. Again.
I just go.
I'll be like Hyman Roth at the end of Godfather Part 2. No, Britain won't take me. Panama won't take me. Not for 1 million, not for 10 millions.
You're going to be on a plane to Miami Airport.
Anyway, sorry, I stopped you.
All right. No, you're fine. So, you do have plenty to look forward to if you're a Patreon listener. Otherwise, we're going to be back soon to pitch a sequel for you. That about does it for this series, Beyond Our Pitches, though. So you're going to have to tell us what you think of Candyman 3, Day of the Dead, the direct-to-video sequel.
That's not the other subtitle, by the way. That's
yeah.
That's commentary.
Where lay it's I forgot what I was going to say.
Those words didn't even work in the form of a sentence. So no. I was really interested to see where you were going to go next. I was like, well, those words don't work back to back, so this is going to be amazing if he pulls this off.
I had something in my brain, but you stopped me.
I only after you'd already faltered.
No, not the first time.
Oh, the first time, yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah. All right, then. We're in agreement completely. But you know what to do. You got to tell us what you think of this Candyman sequel, Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. So find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. Do not find us on X, because they're coming for us soon. But go ahead and start a thread. Or you can send us an good God. Or you can send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. Okay. Whew, got that out. That's it for us. We're going to be back, like I said, to pitch sequels. Until then, for Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here of the How Dare You Awards. We will be back. Say goodbye to everybody, Tom.
You're my little bumblebee. I hope Candyman killed her just for trivializing the historical injustice of his death. I like to pull your wings off. That's not a wing, that's a limb. Doesn't grow back. Bees' wings. Do bees' wings grow back? I suspect not, right?
Ooh, I don't know. No, I don't think so. You pull a wing, you fucked that bee good.
Okay, I have something to do. I'll be right back. I gotta go look into artificial bee wings.
Tom!
No, I love bees. I'm pro bee. I'm pro wasp. The argument with wasps is it's sort of like, oh well, the bees die if they sting you, but the wasps, they just sting you. I'm like, well, we're in their world too. We're fucking with their shit.
Yeah, but those wasp stings, man, they really hurt.
Yeah, but then they're also not going around trying to sting you, just because they don't die when they do.
I had a good 2.5 weeks where I was public enemy number 1 for bees.
Interesting.
I was on 2 hikes. One hike on Coles Mountain, and I wasn't even paying attention. I'm just kind of on the backside of the hill, and I'm hiking down, and I thought, it's a lot of bugs. And then I realized it was just a huge swarm of bees.
Whoa.
And I thought, fuck. I kind of picked up the pace and started running, and I felt a bee on my neck, and I kind of, did that brush off thing, and I was like, okay, I got it. I'm safe. And then all of a sudden I felt it on my neck again, and as I went back to get it, it stung me right in the back of the neck, and I thought, oh, for fuck's sake.
It's funny. I think I don't have any statistical evidence for this, but most wasp or bee stings. Well, bees are different because it's like they kill themselves. But for wasps, most of the time that they will use their stinger is if you try and swat them off your neck, and then they'll just stick the stinger in. So you're probably statistically safer if you just let them do whatever the fuck they're trying to do, because what they're doing.
But when they're crawling around on you, like. Ugh.
But it won't be. They're not trying to sting you. They're only going to do it if you attack them.
The worst part, on the way back, same swarm of bees got stuck in the back of my knee. And I thought, oh, for fuck's sake.
Wow.
So then I was rehearsing in friend of the show, Kristen Fogel's backyard, and got stung on my wrist like 5 days later.
Word got around.
And then 10 days after that, I was hiking another mountain, Iron Mountain, and I come upon a huge swarm of bees. And it was about halfway up the hill, and I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, I want to finish my hike. So on that one, I picked up a bunch of dirt and threw the dust at the bees and ran through that. Like, that was a glorious idea. I did not get stung. And then on the way back, they were all calm and, like, clumped together on a bush. They had settled. And I got pictures of that. But, yeah, bees were fucking my shit up for a good solid 2 weeks.
Wow. Has dirt worked since?
I haven't had to use it since.
You're just so desperate you throw dirt at them, and it actually works.
I felt justified. I got through the cloud of bees.
I like the idea. It's like, oh, this dude's serious.
This'll confuse them.
I didn't know dirt could fly.
All right. Well, that was a nice little tangent. So long, everybody.
I like to do tangents once the show's over. That's the best time to do them.
We'll be back. Thanks for listening.